Good morning, children. Let us start our part 2 of our lesson, A Truly Beautiful Mind. We had done first part up to paragraph 9. Now let me start paragraph 10. While Einstein was solving the most difficult problems in physics, his private life was unraveling. Here the word unraveling means it was becoming fail or unsuccessful. This line means while the time at which Einstein was solving the most difficult problems in physics, but his private life was getting fail or it was becoming unsuccessful. Albert had wanted to marry Mileva right after finishing his studies. Albert Einstein thought to marry Mileva. He wanted to marry Mileva after finishing off his studies, but his mother was against it. But his mother did not allow him to do so. She thought, what were the views of his mother? She thought Mileva, who was 3 years older than her son, was too old for him. Her views were, as Mileva was 3 years elder to Albert Einstein in age, but according to Albert's mother, Einstein's mother, she was too old for Einstein. She was also bothered by Mileva's intelligence. She was not only worried about her age, but she was also worried due to Mileva's intelligence. She was out because of her wisdom, her intelligence. She was very much worried about. She is a book like you, his mother said, and Einstein put the wedding off. His mother told him that Mileva is just like a book for you. And then on hearing such words, Einstein dropped the idea of wedding Mileva for the time being, just for the time being. The pair finally married in January 1903. In January 1903, they both married, Einstein and Mileva, and had two sons, But a few years later, the marriage faltered. But after few years, their marriage was getting weak. The bond between the pair was becoming weak. It was looking as if their marriage is becoming unsuccessful. Mileva, meanwhile, was losing her intellectual ambition. Mileva, who was very much busy in the family, was not able to attain what she wanted to, and she was losing interest, or she was not able to fulfill her intellectual ambition, and she became just a miserable housewife. After years of constant fighting, the couple finally divorced in 1919. After the fighting, when first they tried a lot to save their marriage, but they were fighting constantly, due to which finally they got divorced in 1919. Einstein married his cousin Elsa the same year. After giving the divorce to Mileva, Einstein in the same year married his cousin. Her name was Elsa. Einstein's new personal chapter coincided with his rise to world fame. See, children, it's mentioned in 1919, Einstein married with Elsa. He was married to Elsa. So in the same year, he started getting fame. He was becoming famous also at the same year. So it's written here, Einstein's new personal chapter, his married life, coincided, both came, or both fall in the same time, with his rise to world fame. When he was becoming famous in the world, same time he got married. His personal life also, personal chapter of his life coincided with his popularity. The time he was becoming popular, at the very same time he married. A new chapter of his personal life began. How the new chapter? Because he got married in the same year. In 1915, he had published his general theory of relativity. There is a name of a theory, that is theory of relativity. This was proposed by Einstein or given by Einstein, which provided a new interpretation of gravity, which gave us a new idea about gravity. An eclipse of the sun in 1919 brought proof that it was accurate. In 1919, when there was a solar eclipse, it proved that the theory given by Einstein is correct. It's accurate. Einstein had correctly calculated in advance the extent to which the light from fixed stars would be deflected through the sun's gravitational field. What was the principle of this theory? What was the base of this theory? He was able to calculate the time before solar eclipse, that when will the light be deflected, and how would be the light would be deflected from a fixed star through the sun's gravitational field. The newspapers proclaimed his work as a scientific revolution. Announced. The newspaper announced that his work is a scientific revolution. Einstein received a Nobel Prize for Physics. See children, how they have written this line, that his personal life chapter and his rise to world fame coincided. See, in 1919 he got married, and in 1919 the solar eclipse, when there was a solar eclipse, the accuracy, he calculated the time for the solar eclipse, both things occurred in the same time, and at the same time as his theory proved to be correct, he started becoming famous. Einstein received the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1921. He was showered with honors and invitation. He got the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1921. From that time, many honors and awards were given to him, and from all over the world he was getting the invitations and was lauded by the press, and press also praised him a lot. When the Nazis came to power in Germany in 1933, Einstein immigrated to United States. When German invaded Germany in 1933, Einstein moved to United States. 5 years later, after 5 years, the discovery of nuclear fission in Berlin had American physicists in uproar. American physicists became very upset with the discovery of nuclear fission in Berlin. Many of them had fled from fascism, and many of them had moved away just as Einstein had moved. And now they were afraid that Nazis could build and use the atomic bomb. Now Americans were afraid that as the Nazis have developed nuclear bomb or atomic bomb, they could use it. At the urging of a colleague, at the request of a colleague, partner, friend, or the working place where two people work together, those two people are known as colleagues. Einstein wrote a letter to the American President Franklin D. Roosevelt. On the request of a friend or a colleague, Einstein wrote a letter to the American President Franklin D. Roosevelt on 2nd August 1939, in which he warned. Through this letter, he tried to give a warning to American president. A single bomb of this type exploded in the port might very well destroy the whole port together with some of the surrounding territory. He warned that if such type of bomb will be exploded, not only one port will be destroyed, but surrounding area will also be destroyed because of the effect of this bomb. His word did not fail to have an effect. It means his words had a great impact on the mind of American president. The Americans, what was the result of those words? Result was the Americans developed the atomic bomb in secret project of their own. They also developed a nuclear bomb or an atomic bomb secretly in their own laboratory and dropped it on the Japanese city of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. And they dropped this bomb on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. Einstein was deeply shaken by the extent of the destruction. The destruction caused due to these atomic bombs has deeply moved Einstein, has deeply touched Einstein. This time he wrote a public missive to United Nations. This time he wrote a public letter from the public side to United Nations. In it, he proposed the formation of a world government. In this, he suggested or he gave an idea to have just one world government. Unlike the letter to Roosevelt, this one made no impact, as the words of Einstein had a great impact on the mind of American president. But this time, United Nations did not give any ear or gave a deaf ear or did not pay any attention to what Einstein had told them. But over the next decade, in the coming 10 years, Einstein got ever more involved in politics. He was getting involved in the politics in coming 10 years. Agitating for an end to arms buildup and using his popularity to campaign for peace and democracy. He was using his fame, his popularity to demonstrate or to spread peace. He was urging the people to have peace among themselves, and he was telling the people to have democratic government. And he was against, agitating for an end to arm building. He was against the formation of arms. Arms here means ammunition. Ammunition means bombs. So he was agitating for an end. He wanted to put an end to the formation of bombs. And he used his popularity. That is why he used his fame, his popularity to campaign, to spread peace among the people. When Einstein died in 1955 at the age of 76, he was celebrated as a visionary and a world citizen as much as scientific genius. People do not only look at him as he was a scientist, genius scientist, but people call him a world citizen, and he was a visionary. Visionary means a person who can see the future, or who can think about the future in original and present situation in an intelligent way. The one who can see or think about the future, that person is known as visionary. Children, one question here: why Einstein is called a world citizen? Because from these two paragraphs, it should be clear to you that Einstein not only thought of his own country, but he thought of humanity all over the world. That is why he wanted to put an end to the formation of atomic bombs. He wanted that these types of bombs should not be formed, should not be created. So that is why he is called world citizen, because from the public side, public missive, he wrote a public letter from the side of public to United Nations, and he also requested to have a world government. That's all, children, for your lesson. Thank you.